He's got a drug problem. You can't just follow him all the time. And again, I don't know exactly what all the Patriots were doing to try and make life easier for Josh Gordon. I know they got him a locker room. In the locker room, they got him a locker next to Brady. Let's put him right next to our team's best role model. I get it. But that's really sad how that works out. And we got caller, you're on the air.
You know, I'm here to chin check you, Keon. I love you, but it's not a disease. Cancer's a disease. Gambling, drinking, drugs, being a chocoholic like me.
Wait. Being a chocoholic is a disease, but being an actual drug addict is not a disease? It's a mental illness. Yes, cancer is a disease, but that's
it's a choice.
It's not. Like at a certain, when it starts off, it can start off as choices. Like there are certain decisions you can make that can lead you there. But I mean, Josh Gordon's got a really heartbreaking story about growing up in a really rough place where he was doing drugs way before he was old enough to realize what he was doing, and it's just stuck with him ever since.
Now, if you were saying it's a physical dependency, like cocaine, there's no physical dependency. That's all mental. But there are drugs like heroin and actually marijuana that create a physical dependency. Cocaine doesn't. If you're going to say, look at nicotine, that is a physical dependency. It is almost it's harder to break a heroin habit than it is to break a nicotine habit. But it's a dependency. It's not a disease. A disease is something you get not by choice. Listen, I chose at 40 not to drink anymore, even though I liked it. I chose to stop eating chocolate, even though I like it. I've chosen to do a lot of things in my life.
Look, and
I really like.
And you know what that says? You know what that says? That you don't have that problem. That's all that's telling me. Because I don't have that problem either. Right? Like I don't drink. I mean, I am also like you, a chocoholic, but I just choose not to have it in my house ever because I can't help myself once it's in there. But this is not the same as that. This is a person that knows what the consequences of their actions are, knows they've got millions and millions of dollars at stake, and just mentally can't seem to get themselves back on track. And people, trying to help them.
That's called a dependency, but it's not a disease. They need help. They need help.
I mean, okay, so regardless, I mean, I think that's a kind of a semantical difference. Even if it's okay, even if you say it's not a disease,
it's not. There's nothing semantical.
My point is that he needs help. That's still my ultimate point.
Right. I just don't want to put that in the category of people that have cancer.
Well, no, but people.
Poor child that had a brain tumor.
Mike, do you agree that people have mental diseases?
Oh, we're not doing hardly enough in this country for mental illness. I mean, if somebody has a broken leg, we go, oh, your leg is broken. But mental health, we don't care about. Mental health is as important as physical health. We need to address this issue of dependency on drugs and alcohol and other things that negatively affect people. And we're not doing. Look in Chattanooga. They spent $10 million on a park. That should have been going to mental health, to help people that are on the streets that are dependent on drugs and alcohol. We have a dependency problem in this country, and we're not addressing it because we don't care about mental health.
I hear you, and 100%. By the way, we have an opium epidemic, and we're in the South, and it's hitting us harder than the rest of the United States. So,
I empathize with him very much. I mean, I'm sure it's near impossible for him to quit. Just like people that smoke cigarettes, it physically addicts you. And we need these people. Listen, the cycle will continue until we collectively decide to intervene and break it. And we know the solution to do it. We just don't have the will to do it. Because you know why, Keon? Too many people make too much money with addicts. The system makes money by arresting them, by putting them on parole, by the programs that don't work. There's too much money out there. So people that don't really want to cure this, they don't.
Yeah, I agree. I think our priorities are wrong. Our priorities on this are just messed up. We're not figuring out.
Right. If you're a police officer and the star athlete is walking down the street naked with a knife, swaying it in the air and pointing it to you, where he's really no threat, You know there's a mental issue there. Don't shoot him and kill him. Try to tackle him or tase him. But no, the easy way is to shoot him. The easy way with mental illness is just sweep it under the rug, especially when you're an athlete. And I can't imagine the pressure these guys are under. A microscope. We get upset if somebody criticizes us individually on Facebook. Could you imagine what they have to deal with?
Yeah, and here's the thing too with the NFL, it's such a brutal, physically painful game to play. The amount of guys who are just playing through broken joints, fractures, and they just give them some drugs, and just run them back out there. It's not helping. It really isn't.
Here's something I'd like you to talk about one week, and I'm against high school football. And everybody's going to hate me for this. But there's two sports, and I love boxing, but I hate it because the idea is to hurt the other party that I think should be banned. One is high school football. I know I'm going to tick a lot of people off, and the other one is boxing because its intent is to hurt the other person. In high school football, these kids get damaged for life. I don't like it. I'm just going to throw that out to you, and then we'll see where it lands.
No, I 100% hear you. With high school football, kids have died playing high school football. That to me is where that discussion should begin and end. There has to be a version of football that you play in high school, because I know that in the summertime they have the 7-on-7s. It's not contact football. You're not dealing with the head trauma, especially because that to me is where the real issue comes in. You're taking these hits to the head. You're taking this head trauma over a long period of time. Now, I'm not going to ban a sport like boxing or even ban a sport like football in the United States once you get to be an adult, because we send 18-year-olds off to war. You can smoke if you're 18. You can drink if you're 21. So once you get to be an adult, I'm not going to tell you what to do. But as a high schooler, as a child, I do worry about these hits and about the head trauma that these kids are taking. I worry about it a lot.
Yep. Another thing you need to look into as far as sports is concerned, because a lot of kids that play sports, I don't know why it's hitting them harder than other ones, is vaping. Where, now these kids that are involved primarily in sports, because I guess they like, the thrill, the adrenaline, this vaping where they're putting nicotine, a drug. Why is the FDA allowing this? They're putting a drug. They may as well smoke.
Yeah, well, I'm not well versed enough in what all goes on with vaping, so I can't honestly tell you, and I honestly don't know. I've not heard that high school kids.
Oh, it's hitting the athletic community athletes. There are a lot of athletes are adrenaline junkies, so it's hitting them.
It also depends on the sport, because I mean, by and large, baseball players are not adrenaline junkies. Like
baseball, no, not. Okay, there's exceptions to the rule, like baseball. So it's more exciting to, well, whatever.
But yeah,
the lookouts. We love the lookouts.
We do love the lookouts. But I do remember Charles Barkley saying that Charles Barkley was talking about how you'd hang out with his friends, and like his NFL friends would always be different than the other athletes. Like the NFL guy specifically, you insult an NFL guy and he can't let it go. It's just not possible, because the nature of that sport is pretty much just violence and respect. You can't let someone disrespect you, and you must physically do something about it if they do. It's just a different mindset that it takes to play that game. Hockey too.
Right. So who's going to the Super Bowl?
Who's going to the Super Bowl? My guess is the Chiefs and the Saints.
Okay.
Chiefs and Saints.
Who's winning?
Chiefs.
There you go.
Yeah.
First right here.
That's
get a pool started at your radio station.
That's my confident pick. I really am a big fan of the Chiefs and everything that they're doing. So that's where I'm going on that. Plus you have two guys that could possibly win the MVP at quarterback for both teams. It's that could be a very exciting Super Bowl. That's the one I want.
What in the world happened with the Eagles? What are they up to? I can't believe this.
The Eagles have regressed a lot. They're dealing with injuries, so that's part of it. Also, they won the division last year, so you play the first place schedule. So you play a much harder schedule after you win the division than after you don't. And their quarterback, Carson Wentz, who was such a great player last year and was also a guy who could have been an MVP candidate before he got injured. He tore his ACL last year. They rushed him back, and he didn't look the same this year. He didn't look right, and a lot of that added up. And the Eagles taking a step back. I mean, they're still in it. Like if the Eagles win today, they could still make the playoffs. I mean, they could still really go on a run.
No chance of going to the Super Bowl at all. No chance.
It's a low chance, but the NFL is a weird sport. If you make it to the playoffs, there's no. It's this. You have a chance. It's not like the NBA. The NBA plays a best of 7 games every time you want to move on in the playoffs. In the NFL, it's just a one-off game. If you're telling me that the Eagles can't beat a team for a game for 3 games in a row to get to a Super Bowl, I can't say that. I can't say that. Now, is it likely? No. It's very unlikely that they're going to do it, but I can't say it's impossible. Can't say it's impossible.
All right. Well, listen, I love your show. I won't take up all your time, but have a good day.
All right. Thanks, Mike. So we had that's Mike Steele, calls in from time to time. So yeah, no, the Eagles thing is just tough. But I will check that, because to me, I have read that addiction is a disease. But whether it's a disease or a dependency, to me, I'm not going to get hung up on that detail, because what my ultimate point is that Josh Gordon needs help, and not just a detail, not just a group of Patriots employees following him around the clock, though I'm sure that helps, because you need accountability when you are struggling with something like this. But the report said that there was a group of Patriots employees essentially keeping an eye on Josh Gordon around the clock, and during the bye week, Josh Gordon eluded them. He got away from him. And this is a sad story, because this is a young man who's been, he's been taking codeine syrup, which is highly addictive, since he's about 14 years old. Now, that was one of the first drugs he ever got involved in. And he's got the makings of a tremendous story. When he came out of high school, he was a 2-star recruit. 2 stars. 2 stars. And he's really an incredible athlete. An incredible football player. Not only that, but from what I understand, he's a really nice guy. When people meet him, and the reason why he's gotten as many chances and as many opportunities as he's gotten, when people meet him, they want the best for him. They want this to work out for him in the end. And maybe the way this works out for him in the end is he loses football. He loses football. This is one of those situations you got to hit rock bottom and take football away from him. Because one of the reasons why people keep running Josh Gordon back out there is because he is so talented. You have to take a chance on him, because he could really help your team. He could really help. The Patriots are actually in trouble now without Josh Gordon. They already struggled throwing the football. Part of this is that Tom Brady finally looks old. Finally. But part of this is, who do they throw the ball to? Okay, Gronk is their best receiver. Who's next? Julian Edelman? Julian Edelman wouldn't be your 4th best wide receiver on any other team. And I mean literally any other team. Think of a team in this league. Who is Julian Edelman a number 1? Like, this is a system for Julian Edelman. The Patriots haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since 2007, when they nearly went undefeated and they had Randy Moss. They haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver in a decade. Josh Gordon gives them that level of talent. He gives them height. He gives them speed. They can throw the ball on the outsides. Yeah, the Patriots aren't scary, and it's got more than just Tom Brady being old. And Josh Gordon could have been the remedy to that. And that's why, maybe you run him out there when he's not ready to be out there. That's why you put him in those positions when he's not prepared. And we still haven't dealt with his addiction. We haven't dealt with it. That guy shouldn't be playing football during that. Because how do you cope with the pain of playing football? Well, anonymous reports in the NFL suggest drugs, specifically marijuana, and the league knows this because the league has a drug test a year for that, and then they'll randomly drug test other guys, but they test for marijuana once a year. Everybody knows when the drug test is, so get it out of your system by then, and you're good. The league's not trying to figure all that out because everybody knows, right? There is an opioid crisis inside the NFL because the league just hands out painkillers. It's a brutal game. And you're going to take a guy like Josh Gordon, who's already dealing with a drug problem. You're going to take that guy and you're going to stick him into this brutal game before the drug problem gets fixed. How does that make sense? Someone should have tried to take football away from Josh Gordon a long time ago for his own good. And maybe that doesn't change the problem, but when you look at the story of Chris Carter, who's now in the Hall of Fame, Buddy Ryan cut him. Chris Carter was doing a lot of cocaine by his own admission. He had a cocaine problem. Chris Carter was doing a lot of cocaine and needed someone to step in and take away football from him. Then he had the right surrounding coaches. When he went to Minnesota, he had the right surrounding coaches. The Minnesota Vikings were ahead of their time. They were one of the few teams in the NFL during that time period to have a therapist working for the team. Dennis Green really made sure that he was in Chris Carter's life. You got to give someone a level of support. Support is the answer to this question, not a detail that follows them around. I know that the Patriots had the best in mind when they were doing it. They weren't trying to be nefarious. They weren't trying to be bad or even negligent. But if that's the best that you can do to offer a guy some help, I got really bad news for you. I got really, really bad news for you. You can do better. You can do better. You're listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. The Falcons have a player returning from injury, but should he even be playing? Next.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chatter. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now.
The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office confirmed Ellen Hudson from Ottawa was killed in a car crash just before 6 p.m. Saturday. The cause is still under investigation. A shooting in Sale Creek left one person hospitalized and another one arrested. Everett Smith, who's 22, charged with aggravated assault and reckless endangerment, accused of shooting his great-uncle, Tyrese Jerome Johnson. A Chattanooga mother and her 6 children were displaced by a kitchen fire just a few days before Christmas. It happened just after 4 p.m. on Peachtree Street in Chattanooga. The fire department says once they got there, the family had already gotten out, but the fire had claimed the house. 18-year-old Cleveland High School star athlete Deontay Ware was arrested after a video was released showing him allegedly beating his girlfriend. He's now been charged with domestic assault. The woman shown being beaten in that video was just 16 years old. Russell Stroud, Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio 92.7. Nuga Radio, Chattanooga.
After this golden frosty start, expect lots of clouds for your Sunday. A few scattered showers will pass through, highs near 50. Tonight, drying out, lows into the lower 30s. For Monday, mostly sunny, but cool, highs into the upper 40s to near 50. Continued cool and dry for Christmas Day. What did Jesus mean when he commanded us to be ready? Find out in Looking Up. Living in Anticipation of Christ, a book by local author Eddie Turner, available now at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And I'm Sworn Gene 12, Chief Meteorologist Matt Report.
The radio 92.7.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
The rumors are true. We've opened a Starbucks at 10 North, 20 Cherokee Boulevard on the North Shore. And we're more than just what we brew. We're your new North Shore neighborhood living room, a gathering place, a part of your daily routine. With a warm atmosphere, a spacious patio, convenient complimentary parking, and a full Starbucks food and beverage menu, including the new Nitro Cold Brew. We're a coffee experience, and we make sure everything we do is through the lens of community and contributing value to our vibrant neighborhood. Open daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. We look forward to serving you. Starbucks North Shore, inspiring and nurturing the human spirit. One person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. Locally owned and operated by Vision Hospitality Group.
If your computer is running slow, if you have viruses, if someone called you asking to get into your computer, just say no. If a screen pops up on your computer saying your data is going to be deleted and you have to call this number, don't call it. You need to call Affordable Computers. You wouldn't invite a stranger to come into your house to look at all your books and records, so why would you invite someone to look at your records on your computer? With one wrong click of the mouse, you could be allowing access into your entire system. At Affordable Computers, we can stop them now. Don't be fooled by scammers and pop-ups that tell you you must call this number or your hard drive is going to be deleted. You need to call Affordable Computers. Call Affordable Computers now. Microsoft is never going to call you. Microsoft is never going to ask you to call them. If you see that on your screen, you are being scammed. Stop and call Affordable Computers. 423-499-1975. That's 423-499-1975. In Fort Oglethorpe, call 706-858-5888. That's 706-858-5888. Affordable Computers.
Even if you like your job, there are some things that can drive you nuts. Like the anonymous coward who steals your lunch from the break room fridge. Or maybe Tyler, the IT guy, who gives you that condescending look when you tell him that your computer is acting up again, as if somehow it's your fault. You put up with these clowns every single day. But what happens when you've had enough? That's the day you decide to retire. At least that's the hope, right? But will you be able to retire? Can you afford to retire? That's why you need to talk to Ron and Christy Adams at One Family Financial. They can't do anything about Cody that
is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Quicken Loans.
I'm Wendy Gillette. It's day 2 of the partial government shutdown. President Trump wants $5 billion for the border wall. Democrats are offering more than $1 billion for border security, but refuse to fund a wall. White House acting chief of staff Mick Mulvaney said on Fox a compromise was offered.
They were at 1.3 yesterday. We were at $5 billion a couple of days ago, and the counter offer that we gave them yesterday was between those two numbers.
Mulvaney says the shutdown could stretch into the new year, blaming Senate Democrats. Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul spoke on CBS's Face the Nation.
Really what we ought to do is vote for border security and not be so specific exactly. Some of it's going to be walls, some of it will be sonar, radar, electronic monitoring. There's a lot of ways to monitor our border, and it won't be all wall.
The House and Senate will be back in session Thursday. The nation's defense secretary is leaving sooner than expected. James Mattis will depart January 1st. He had resigned because of policy differences with President Trump and was staying on the job until February. President Trump tweeted Deputy Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan will assume the title of Acting Secretary of Defense. CBS News correspondent David Martin on his background.
He's obviously not the military expert that Mattis is, but what you really need to run the Pentagon is executive expertise and skills. So the fact that he's not a military expert does not mean that he can't be an effective acting Secretary of Defense.
Scientists believe the eruption of a volcano triggered a massive tsunami in Indonesia. At least 222 people were killed in the area popular with tourists on this holiday weekend. More than 800 people were injured. The BBC's Rebecca Henschke is there.
Electricity is down here. There's no power to these communities, no running water. So people have been taking what they can from the rubble to kind of get through the next few days over Christmas. That will be very tough.
This holiday season, anti-hunger groups want you to think about those around the world in need of food. CBS's Gary Nunn has more.
World hunger again is a growing problem. Asma Latif of the organization Bread for the World blames climate change and conflict, saying the trend can be reversed.
It's really time that people got involved and made it a political priority.
Bill Moses of the group Food for the Hungry in Washington, D.C. advises.
Talk to their Congress people, let them know this is a priority for them, and not just in terms of humanitarian issues, but for our own well-being in the long run.
Last year, the U.S. government provided nutritional assistance for nearly 23 million children. Gary Nunn, CBS News.
This is CBS News.
National mortgage lender Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Licensed in all 50 states, equal housing lender, NMLS number 3030.
TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and HomeGoods present the most helpful innovation in last-minute holiday shopping. Offline shopping. Too late to ship? You can still find something personal in person. With offline shopping, you don't see gifts in virtual reality. You see them in reality. And with new gifts arriving in our stores through Christmas Eve, you'll find great ideas at great prices in real time. Because with offline shopping, there's still time to get gifts hand-delivered to you, by you, instantly. We've got ideas at great prices. TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and HomeGoods.
It's Macy's Holiday Countdown Sale. Hurry in to get those last few gifts or buy online and pick up free in store. Plus, save an extra 20 or 15% with your Macy's Carter Pass. Coats and sweaters for him and her, 25 to 50% off. Fine jewelry, 35 to 55% off. FAO Schwartz toys, 50% off. Plus, fragrance gift sets for everyone on your list. Hurry in now. Savings off sale prices, exclusions apply. Macy's Star Rewards now offers perks everyone can love no matter how they pay. Sign up for free in store or at Macys.com/Star Rewards.
One way to celebrate Christmas, here's CBS's Jim Taylor.
It's a seasonal tradition in the Bavarian mountains. Preparing for Christmas in the small town of Kirchseon near Munich, townspeople dress up like monsters. They perform a traditional dance to scare away winter and darkness. The tradition dates back to the pre-Christian era, although experts there disagree on exactly where and when it all started. Jim Taylor, CBS News.
A holiday favorite is celebrating a big birthday. The song Silent Night was born 200 years ago on Christmas Eve, 1818, in the village of Oberndorf near Salzburg, Austria. That's when a parish priest and local school teacher sang it for the first time. It was performed in the U.S. in 1839 near Trinity Church in downtown Manhattan. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now.
The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office confirmed Ellen Hudson from Ottawa was killed in a car crash just before 6 p.m. Saturday. The cause is still under investigation. A shooting in Sale Creek left one person hospitalized and another one arrested. Everett Smith, who's 22, charged with aggravated assault and reckless endangerment, accused of shooting his great-uncle, Tyrese Jerome Johnson. A Chattanooga mother and her 6 children were displaced by a kitchen fire just a few days before Christmas. It happened just after 4 p.m. on Peachtree Street in Chattanooga. The fire department says once they got there, the family family had already gotten out, but the fire had claimed the house. 18-year-old Cleveland High School star athlete Deontay Ware was arrested after a video was released showing him allegedly beating his girlfriend. He's now been charged with domestic assault. The woman shown being beaten in that video was just 16 years old. Russell Stroud, Chattanooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
After this cold and frosty start, expect lots of clouds for your Sunday. A few scattered showers will pass through, highs near 50. Tonight, drying out, lows into the lower 30s. For Monday, mostly sunny, but cool, highs into the upper 40s to near 50. Continued cool and dry for Christmas Day. What did Jesus mean when he commanded us to be ready? Find out in Looking Up. Living in Anticipation of Christ, a book by local author Eddie Turner, available now at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And I'm Sworn Gene 12, Chief Meteorologist, Master 4.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Hey folks, Jeff Stiles here, talk radio host and infamous technophobe. But I got to tell you, this Facebook Live that Nooga Radio does, it makes sense to me. It really does. Now, we're at 92.7 on the FM dial, but really where you need to go is NoogaRadio.com and just do the streaming audio, 8 to 10 a.m. The first hour is mostly just me just throwing commentary in on top of the news. The second hour is me frustrating and irritating you beyond all belief. NoogaRadio.com. Don't miss it. Every weekday.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. Thank you for joining. So last night, talked a little bit about the Titans, their victory over the Redskins, beat them 25-19. Very good win. Redskins are a quality football team despite all of the injuries that they've had. Jay Gruden's one heck of a coach, but the Titans came out on top, did just enough to get the win. Marcus Mariota did not finish the game with 110 yards, no touchdowns. Blaine Gabbert throwing the only touchdown on the air of the day. Worried about Mariota and that contract. Really am. But the other game that happened yesterday, which was very interesting, was the Ravens playing the Chargers. The Ravens pulling off the upset over the Los Angeles Chargers. I have to really, really fight not to say San Diego. Beating them 22-10. Look, the Chargers are a Super Bowl contender. The Chargers are a Super Bowl contender. And Lamar Jackson sliced them up yesterday. Threw for 240 yards and a touchdown, of all things, including this play that ended as a touchdown in the air.
For Jackson so far. Dixon, who fumbled a moment ago, is back in the game. And in the middle, Jackson for his tight end, brought in by Mark Andrews, who escapes and goes all the way for the touchdown. 68 yards, rookie to rookie, and the Ravens retake the lead.
Big time throw as well. See Mark Andrews right here, just running a deep over. And look at the ball. Once again, we've seen it twice tonight. Up and over the linebacker. Great touch.
That's what he said there. Like up and over the linebacker. Lamar Jackson threaded the needle there. He had a few throws like that last night. And I haven't had time to really sit down and watch the Ravens play. Last night was the first time I've really put some time into watching the Ravens, because around this time of year, you start watching the teams that matter. You know the teams in the hunt. You know the teams at the top of their division. You keep an eye on those teams. And we're not watching Jacksonville anymore. As much as I like to laugh at the Raiders, I'm not watching the Raiders anymore. There's nothing to gain from watching those teams. So I'm trying to watch the Ravens and see what they're about on a more specific level. And I've been told since Lamar Jackson started with taking the starting job, He doesn't really throw the ball very well. He's not very accurate. He's more of a runner. Are we sure Lamar Jackson can't throw? Or are we really certain Lamar Jackson can't throw? Because the kid I watched last night, that guy can throw. Yeah, he makes some bad ones. He throws some ducks. He had a corner post that he threw to Michael Crabtree, threw it to the back pylon, and I don't even know where he intended or how he ever intended for that to wind up getting to Michael. But other than that throw, and yeah, his throwing motion's still pretty funky. But you know who is the quarterback on the opposing team? Phillip Rivers. And I don't know how a Phillip Rivers throw ever arrives in any way, in any direction that it's supposed to. The way Phillip Rivers throws the ball? How does that work? Please somebody explain that to me. How does Phillip Rivers throwing the ball actually work? Because I'm telling you, when I was in college, first starting college, you throw the football around with your friends. Try and imitate Phillip Rivers' throwing motion. It makes no sense. Lamar Jackson's got an unorthodox throwing motion, but the ball gets to where it needs to get to, and it gets there accurately. I understand he's throwing into some gigantic windows, though. They run a lot of misdirection, a lot of read option stuff, which we decided a very long time ago doesn't work, except here it is, clearly working. Lamar Jackson he's been fantastic. I mean, what else do you want me to say? The kid's been good. And I don't know how else to, how far can the Ravens go? A large part of this is there isn't enough tape on Lamar. We've seen this story before. It's happened to RG3 and it's happened to Colin Kaepernick. Mobile quarterbacks, and you run a lot of read option with them. And then the league figures them out. I can't imagine that Lamar Jackson doesn't at some point get figured out. But while you're trying to make some kind of a run, why not? You're trying to put something together. Here comes this young man. He's all but saved your season. He fumbles the ball a little too much, but you know what he doesn't do? He doesn't throw a ton of interceptions. That's what Flacco is doing. Flacco is giving you just the business throwing interceptions. You can't do that when the margin of error is that slim. I'm just saying, people seem very confident that Lamar Jackson can't throw the football, but this happened.
For Jackson so far. Dixon, who fumbled a moment ago, is back in the game. And in the middle, Jackson for his tight end, brought in by Mark Andrews, who escapes and goes all the way for the touchdown. 68 yards, rookie to rookie, and the Ravens retake the lead.
Big time throw as well. See Mark Andrews right here, just running a deep over. And look at the ball. Once again, we've seen it twice tonight. Up and over the linebacker. Great.
Look, he put the ball right where Mark Andrews needed to have it. Also, fantasy football note, I don't know if you're paying attention to this, the Ravens really like their tight ends. In fact, any team that uses read option concepts, tight ends, that's your fantasy football tip of the day. The Ravens really, really like their tight ends. It's a big part of what they do. Yeah, the Ravens defense is real. The Ravens plan for beating you, ground and pound. That's the game plan. They run the ball on you. They let their defense do everything else. Phillip Rivers threw 2 interceptions yesterday. This is as bad as Phillip Rivers has looked this season. This season. And I don't buy the Chargers as a legitimate Super Bowl contender, even though they are 11-4 after this loss. They're still in charge of that division. They need the Chiefs to lose if they want to stay on top of it. But the reason why I don't buy the Chargers as Super Bowl contenders, and I could be very wrong about this, because they do have the talent to be Super Bowl contenders. This is not a comment on the talent that the Chargers are playing, that the Chargers have, right? Melvin Gordon, Travis Benjamin, at running back. I mean, they've been tremendous. Phillip Rivers has had a fantastic year. And then you look at the wide receivers that they have in Keenan Allen. You know, they've got Jackson. Gates had a costly fumble at some point in the game as well. The issue that I have with the Chargers is that they start slow, especially in the second half of the season. They have this really bad habit of starting games just a little too slow. And you're going to run up against real defenses in the playoffs. Yeah, the Ravens are an exceptional defense, so that they're going to hold Phillip Rivers, have him throw 2 interceptions, take the ball away from him twice, and then hold Melvin Gordon, who's having a fantastic all-pro kind of season, to just 41 yards on the ground, which is unusual for him. They kept Keenan Allen in check, who usually goes off as well. Keenan Allen, only 58 yards, no touchdowns. Only targeted 8 times. They kept the ball out of the hands of the Chargers playmakers, but the fact of the matter is the Chargers always start slow. Since about week 8, the Chargers have a bad habit of starting slow, and they come back and they win games, and so we don't notice this about them. They're not a fast start team. And if you run up into some of these grinding defenses in the playoffs, what you want to do is just punch them in the face early, and then when the defense decides it's going to shut you down, you at least already have your points. You can't afford to start slow. The Chargers didn't score a touchdown until the third quarter. Neither did the Ravens, but that's how the Ravens play. That's not how the Chargers play. This is an offensive juggernaut. It's hard to believe there was a point in the year when we thought we might have a Best Coast Super Bowl where we had Rams and Chargers. Los Angeles on Los Angeles violence. But no, I mean, the Rams have clearly regressed, though the Rams are going to get their stuff together. The Chargers will bounce back from this, but the Chargers start slow. And if they don't fix that, that's going to be a problem that nobody's going to expect. I mean, the Chargers could potentially be one of those teams. They show up, they have a great season, they show up in the playoffs, and they just get bounced. And everyone's asking, well, hey, what happened to the Chargers? Didn't start fast enough. That's exactly what it's going to be. Didn't start fast enough. That's the story. So you got a bunch of big games if you are a Titans fan today. A lot of big games to pay attention to and focus on. You're going to be looking at the Houston-Philly game. Houston is in the driver's seat in the division. Not really going to catch them. I'll give you my pick on that in the last segment of the show here in about 10 minutes. But yeah, if you're Titans fan, you need to know what Houston's doing. And Indy plays New York. They ought to beat New York. But the Colts have been showing a pulse lately. I mean, they've had a couple of rough games, but they've been showing a pulse. They hold the tiebreaker over the Titans, which in a couple of weeks you play them. Titans can beat the Colts head-to-head. They need some help from the Steelers. They need Pittsburgh to lose. Pittsburgh plays New Orleans today. New Orleans is a 6.5-point favorite. You need New Orleans to lose. You're the Titans. You need a little bit of help. You handled your business yesterday. What you're hoping, though, is that it's not too little, too late. You're listening to Nuga Radio 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. So there's a player that is coming back. He's playing for the Falcons today. Cleared from his injury, his rib injury. Julio Jones. And you know I love Julio Jones. Julio Jones, to me, when he's healthy and when he's on an offense that uses him properly, he's the best receiver in the league. He's the best receiver in the league. Absolutely beastly athleticism. He can play above the rim. Alarming speed. Even though he has nagging injuries that he deals with, He's very reliable. Love Julio Jones. What are the Falcons trying to prove today? What are the Falcons trying to prove today? By starting Julio Jones. They're 5-9. There is no universe. There is no universe where they make the playoffs. Explain this to me. What are the Falcons trying to accomplish? Sure, I expect you to play for pride. I expect the players to play for pride. But as an organization, shouldn't you be tanking? Shouldn't you be tanking? I understand why NFL teams don't tank. Because there's a lot at stake, and it's very easy to get fired. It's so alarmingly easy to get fired. But the season's lost. They're not going to fire Dan Quinn over this. They struggle with injuries. That defense, and Dan Quinn's a defensive guy. That defense got banged up really early. You could make the strong argument they never had a chance. So why are you playing Julio? What are you trying to prove? Julio's already injured. He's already injured. I mean, if he was completely healthy, I would still make up something, personally. But if he was completely healthy, I get it. I do. But you have a guy that's been dealing with a foot issue. You have a guy that's been dealing with a rib issue. You're 5-9 and can't make the playoffs. What are you trying to prove, and what on earth are you playing for? What are you playing for? I'm dead serious. Why don't you try, lose a couple of games, move up in the draft, because you can't make the playoffs. Move up in the draft and get yourself a playmaker. And even if you could make the playoffs, like even if the Falcons actually could make the playoffs, I don't believe in this team's ability to go anywhere. Especially being in the NFC. The NFC is the tougher division, is the tougher conference. What would the Falcons accomplish the way that they've played this season? You're going to have to pardon me, because I'm going to use a word to describe the way the Falcons have played. The Falcons have played like booty. They have played like booty. How do you expect to go anywhere with the way this team has played? And yes, they've dealt with injuries. But even if they could make the playoffs, I'd still try to tank. Wouldn't expect the players to. That's not what they do. But if you are telling me I've got Julio Jones, and Julio Jones already has the built-in excuse of he's dealing with a rib injury and he's dealing with a foot injury, why are you clearing him to play? First off, Julio can still help you win if he's injured. We've seen this. This is a guy that at the draft combine ran a 4.4 40 on a broken foot. I don't ever doubt Julio Jones. Okay? I've learned my lesson in life. You don't doubt this guy. He can still help you win, but you don't want to win. The wins that you're going to get now don't matter. They're pointless. You're not on the bubble. You're not in the hunt. You're not making the playoffs. Lose some games and go get yourself a playmaker. And this might be the NBA fan in me. Right? Like, this might be the NBA fan looking at this logically and going, you stand more to lose by winning. What are you trying to win for? I mean, I understand trying to win when you had a chance. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're 3-4, you're 3-5, start tanking. You can always make a run, even though at that point in the season, you were still playing like booty. even at that point. But at least you were still alive and there was some hope there. And there were glimmers. There were flashes of really good games. But when the offense fell apart, couldn't score over 24 points a game, when the defense couldn't stop a cold, when you and 10 of your best friends could put up points on this defense, when Julio Jones wasn't getting involved in the offense even when he was healthy, and now you're 5-9. What am I supposed to do with that? If you win out, you're 7-9, you're still not in the playoffs. What's anyone supposed to do with that? Don't play Julio. What are you trying to prove? Let the guy be healthy. It's not like you don't have receivers already. You still have Ridley. You still have Sanu. Hooper's a great tight end. What are you trying to accomplish? Same thing with the Panthers. Right? The Panthers get it. The Panthers have Cam. Cam's shoulder is not working. And whatever happened to Andrew Luck, Cam caught it. Cam can't throw right now. And Cam has tried everything in his power outside of surgery. And Cam doesn't want to do surgery because Cam has already done surgery. You don't want this again. The Panthers get it. You have a guy that's injured and you can't make the playoffs. Shut it down. Even if that guy's your best player. Even if he's your best player. Julio's your best player if you're Atlanta. Why on earth? Why on actual earth is he playing? Got the picks coming up for you next. All the games you need to keep an eye on and who's going to win them. Clutch with Keon Rose, Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now.
The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office confirmed Ellen Hudson from Ottawa was killed in a car crash just before 6 p.m. Saturday. The cause is still under investigation. A shooting in Sale Creek left one person hospitalized and another one arrested. Everett Smith, who's 22, charged with aggravated assault and reckless endangerment, accused of shooting his great-uncle, Tyrese Jerome Johnson. A Chattanooga mother and her 6 children were displaced by a kitchen fire just a few days before Christmas. It happened just after 4 p.m. on Peachtree Street in Chattanooga. The fire department says once they got there, the family had already gotten out, but the fire had claimed the house. 18-year-old Cleveland High School star athlete Deontay Ware was arrested after a video was released showing him allegedly beating his girlfriend. He's now been charged with domestic assault. The woman shown being beaten in that video was just 16 years old. Russell Stroud, Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
After this golden frosty start, it's been lots of clouds for your Sunday. A few scattered showers will pass through, highs near 50. Tonight, drying out, lows into the lower 30s. For Monday, mostly sunny, but cool, highs into the upper 40s to near 50. Continued cool and dry for Christmas Day. What did Jesus mean when he commanded us to be ready? Find out in Looking Up, Living in Anticipation of Christ, a book by local author Eddie Turner, available now at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And I'm sworn Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Matt Report.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Oh, it can happen to anyone. Flat tire, overheated engine, or just a clackety-clack, and now you're on the side of the road. No worries, because Doug Yates Towing and Recovery is there 24 hours a day for you. That's right, 24-hour-a-day emergency roadside assistance. And you don't have to accept who your insurance company or your road assistance provider sends you. At Doug Yates Towing and Recovery, we want you off the road as safely and soon as possible. So they'll be there in a jiffy. Doug Yates Towing and Recovery with 24-hour emergency roadside service. Call 800-407-2371. That's 800-407-2371. Online, yatesrecord.com. That's yatesrecord.com. On Facebook at Doug Yates Towing and Recovery, LLC. Doug Yates Towing and Recovery. We don't want your arms and legs, just your toes. Doug Yates Towing and Recovery is a Nougat Radio 92.7 First Responder Friday sponsor. To our first responders, Doug Yates Towing and Recovery says thank you.
A Massage Envy gift card might just be the best holiday gift ever because it unwraps all the benefits of total body care, including massage and total body stretch, customizable facials, and advanced skincare services, including microderm infusion and chemical peels. Share the gift of wellness and help everybody on your list be their very best. Receive a voucher for 2 free enhancements when you purchase $100 in Massage Envy gift cards. Massage Envy, making the best of every body. See locations for details. Offer ends December 31st. Voucher valid until March 31st, 2019.
Visit Chattanooga's Massage Envy at Hamilton Place Mall and in the Target Shopping Plaza, Hickson.
Hey folks, Jeff Stiles here, talk radio host and infamous technophobe. But I got to tell you, this Facebook Live that Nougat Radio does, it makes sense to me. It really does. Now, we're at 92.7 on the FM dial, but really where you need to go is nougatradio.com and just do the streaming audio, 8 to 10 a.m. The first hour is mostly just me just throwing commentary on top of the news. The second hour is me frustrating and irritating you beyond all belief. nougatradio.com. Don't miss it every weekday.
Nougat Radio 92.7.
Looking for an easy way to give back and have some family fun on New Year's Eve? Join Chattanooga Ronald McDonald House for a glow run on December 31st starting at the Downtown Sports Barn. It's one of Chattanooga's longest running 5K and 2-mile fun runs. It's been around for 40 years. The run starts at 7 p.m., so you still have time to go home and get ready for your New Year's plans. Register and run to help families at the Chattanooga Ronald McDonald House. Join Chattanooga Ronald McDonald House for a glow run on December 31st starting at the Downtown Sports Barn. Sign up today at KarenLawrenceRun.itsyourrace.com.
Wow, Triumph Spitfire. I haven't seen one of those in ages. Boy, is it gorgeous.
Thanks. It was my grandfather's. Drives like a dream.
Where do you go to keep it up?
Rivermont Pure. I never thought I'd find a place, but they specialize in older and European cars. They get the hard-to-find parts and treat me right every time.
Rivermont Pure?
Yeah, they're on Hickson Pike across from Lupton Drive. I found them online at rivermontpureservice.com.
Rivermont Pure. Import or domestic. If it rolls, they work it.
Nougat Radio. Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nougat Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7.
Nougat Radio.
Nougat Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with? Eric, you're our winner. Really?
You'll receive tickets for all 3 races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nougat Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Nougat Radio.
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nougat Radio 92.7 FM.
Nougat Radio 92.7.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to All New Nougat Radio, nougatradio.com here on 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. This is the last segment of the show, and as always, we do the picks, which is we work our way through an entire NFL weekly schedule, and I tell you who's going to win or lose. Do not, under any circumstances, use this as betting advice. You will lose your shirt if the last couple of weeks have been any indication whatsoever. And apparently, you can only trust me through like weeks 1 through 5 of the season. After that, I got nothing for you. I got absolutely nothing for you. And I still continue to do this because my pride? Let's go with pride. So the 1 o'clock game, the first game, is the 5-9 Falcons facing the 6-8 Panthers. 2 teams that we certainly thought would be better. This looked to like the best division in the NFC when the season started. Nay, even the league. And maybe they've just beaten up on each other, but the Falcons and the Panthers don't look anywhere near as good as we thought they were going to look. Part of that is, yes, Cam Newton struggled greatly with that shoulder injury that he's had this year. He's played through a lot. But honestly, even before the shoulder became apparently a problem, the Panthers struggled to move the ball just between the 20s, much less score when they got in the red zone. It's very unusual for them and very unusual for a team led by Cam Newton. The Falcons have been disappointing for so many reasons, injuries being the biggest one, but the lack of development between the relationship of Steve Sarkisian and Matt Ryan, that didn't blossom into anything. And I was willing to give it some time because year 2 with quarterbacks and offensive coordinators always are better than year 1 because you've got another year in the system, another year of using the verbiage and just having that in your mind. If it ain't happening in year 2, I don't know what I'm supposed to believe. I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to actually expect from this team or any other team when the quarterback and offensive coordinator and the offense just doesn't really seem to develop. Like at some point, I just blame the offensive coordinator because we know what Matt Ryan is capable of. We know what Julio Jones is capable of, and we really haven't seen it. Like Matt Ryan's got decent numbers, but like how many of those numbers are just garbage time numbers? I think it's a decent amount. So yeah, playing the Panthers this year, I am going to take the Falcons. If the Panthers don't have Cam, why should I believe that they ought to be able to win this game? But the defense is still really good, and the Falcons are still underachievers. The next 1:00 game is the Packers and the Jets. The Packers are 5-8-1. The Jets are 4-10. The Packers are going to win this game, but the Jets look fun. I mean, I don't know if I've ever described the Jets team as being fun in a very long time, so there's that. Darnold is fun to watch. He's exciting. Darnold might throw 4 touchdowns. Darnold might also throw 4 picks. You never know. And it's entirely flip of the coin. Darnold might throw 3 touchdowns in the first half and then throw 3 picks in the second. I mean, Sam Darnold is a gunslinger, more than he ever got credit for being. When Sam Darnold came out, a lot of people thought he was the most fundamentally sound of all the quarterbacks that came out. And that is almost hilarious now when you compare his numbers to, and it's not Baker, because Baker actually was more accurate than he got credit for. And Baker, in terms of RPOs, he was the best quarterback in terms of RPOs. And what is it that the NFL runs more now than they ever used to? RPOs. Right? Run pass options. Baker's the king of the RPO. Not comparing Darnold to Baker. I'm comparing Darnold to Lamar Jackson. Lamar takes better care of the football than Darnold does. And who saw that coming? Yeah. Still taking the Packers, though. Just saying. The Texans and the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are still fighting to get in the playoffs. The Dallas Cowboys lead the division, but the Eagles are 7-7. And if the Eagles handle their business today and pray really, really hard for a Cowboys loss, they have a chance. Somehow. The NFC East is bad. The NFC East is the worst division in football. All of those teams could finish 8-8. And then how would you feel? I mean, watching NFC East teams play football is a really good idea of what it feels like to have your eyes bleed for 2.5 hours. The Texans are playing not just good football, they're playing great football. That defense is the juggernaut we all hoped it would be, and Deshaun Watson picked up where he left off. This season, he's got 24 touchdowns and 9 INTs. The Texans started 0-3 and won 9 games in a row. I mean, that's incredible. And 10 out of their last 11. Now they're 10-4, leading the AFC South, which that turned into a tough division out of nowhere. The people thought maybe we'll have the book's out on Deshaun Watson. We figured him out. And I don't know where that came from. Deshaun does not want that. 10-4. I'm going with the Texans over the Eagles. The Eagles need to win this game, but, that's exactly why they won't. Also, they don't have Carson Wentz. They're going with Nick Foles. Nick Foles is really good when you're not expecting him, though. But the Texans defense is really good. It's too good. I can't go against it. The Jaguars and the Dolphins. Blake Bortles, Ryan Tannehill. Ugh. Man, the Dolphins are 7-7. They won that miraculous game against the Patriots 2 weeks ago. They're still alive. Who cares? I mean this with all the respect I can actually manage. Who cares? Yes, the Dolphins are better than the Jaguars. Yes, the Dolphins are going to beat the Jaguars. But who cares? Are the Dolphins actually going anywhere in the playoffs, though? No, they're not. They are not. Another AFC East game. Patriots and Bills. Patriots are 9-5. The Bills are 5-9. And this is not written in stone. I'm going to take the Bills for the upset. The Patriots are very predictable right now. Tom Brady looks old. Tom Brady looks washed. And part of it is that he doesn't have weapons he can throw to. He's got to really rely on Gronk. And the Bills don't do anything good on offense. I was going to say the Bills don't do much great on offense, and I tried to think of a single good thing that they do. Josh Allen's really good at running. In fact, Josh Allen leads the team in rushing. He's got 75 rushing attempts for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns this season. Josh Allen's not great at throwing the football. So that's the one nice thing I can say that the Bills do offensively. But the Bills' defense, hey, don't sleep on them. Do not sleep on that crew. The Bills' defense is one of the best defenses in the league. Not that you would know it because they don't win any games, but just the plain fact of when you run into the Bills, whatever your offensive output has been gets cut in half. And this is a Patriots team that hasn't exactly had a great offensive output. It's been rough. And as I mentioned earlier, losing Josh Gordon really hurts them. Really hurts them because they don't have anybody to throw the ball to on the outside. They don't. Look at what they've got going on at wide receiver. They've got Julian Edelman. They've got Cordarrelle Patterson, who is a great special teams guy. And he's done some really good damage for them at the running back position. But Cordarrelle Patterson's hands aren't good. Hasn't been since he's gotten in the league. Right? Tennessee fans know Cordarrelle Patterson's a great athlete. But as a wide receiver, there's not really much he can give you. I'm going to go with the Bills on the upset. The Giants and the Colts. Must-win game for the Indianapolis Colts. They're 8-6. They're trying to stay ahead of the Titans. They've got the tiebreaker. The Colts are good. They figured it out. Andrew Luck, turns out, we didn't ruin his shoulder after all. They thought they did. It looked real close. They mismanaged that as though they were attempting to ruin his shoulder. They didn't ruin his shoulder after all. Andrew Luck looks fine. Right? The interceptions are down. The bad decision making is down. The taking unnecessary hits is down. The Giants look like a team in disarray. Saquon Barkley is their one bright spot. And now they don't have a quarterback. And they're 5-9. It's another one of those games where I'm benching everybody if I'm the Giants. We're tanking here. Can't make the playoffs. It's tank time. It's tank time. Get yourself a playmaker. Try and see if you can get one of these quarterbacks. If Will Grier is hanging around, and I'm the Giants, I would take him. Right? You don't stink enough to get Justin Herbert. But if Will Grier's hanging around, go get him. You need somebody. Eli Manning's clearly not the answer. And let's be honest, he hasn't been the answer in a few years. Colts win this game easily. Buccaneers and Cowboys. I wish I could tell you that I knew the Cowboys were going to win this game outright. I wish I could tell you that. But I can't tell you that. You know that this is exactly the kind of game that the Cowboys lose. Whether it's Jameis, whether it's Fitzpatrick, both of those guys are going to give the Cowboys enough opportunities to score. Are they actually going to? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And I've been a big Dak doubter. I like Dak coming out of college, but ever since his rookie season, when I got to look at what his life looks like when Ezekiel Elliott's not there, I'm out on Dak in that particular kind of way. Do I think he can be a game manager? Do I think he can be your franchise guy? Yeah, as long as you don't pay him too much. As long as you keep enough money to surround him with talent. I'm not paying Dak $28 million a year. And I'm taking the Buccaneers to win this game. The Bengals play the Browns. Baker Mayfield has somehow made the Browns a playoff contender. They're still in the hunt, and they're playing the Bengals. Nick Chubb's had an incredible season. The Browns do more ground and pounding than you realize. We're all enamored with Baker. We love him. And why not? Baker Mayfield is football. Baker Mayfield is everything that you think football is. Why not love him? Right? Like I love him, you love him, we all love him. But the real hero of the Cleveland Browns is Nick Chubb. The real heroes of the Cleveland Browns are Myles Garrett, the lunch pail guys. That's the real identity of this team. It just so happens that the very charismatic Baker Mayfield is the mouthpiece for all of that. He gives them an edge. He gives them swagger. The Bengals are in a death spiral. They're in a death spiral. That's all I have to say about the Bengals. The Browns are going to win this game. The Vikings are playing the Lions. This is another one of those who cares for a couple of reasons. One, the Lions have quit. They don't look like they care anymore. They don't look like they're trying, which stinks because Keon Johnson's had a great year at running back. And when Matt Stafford is actually engaged, they look okay. But overall, the team looks like they've quit, including Stafford. The Vikings, on the other hand, have grossly overpaid for their quarterback who can't win big games. The Vikings are going to win this game. Kirk Cousins is going to win this game. You know why? Because the Lions aren't above 500. If the Lions were above 500, this goes the other way. Kirk Cousins can't beat good teams. That's what they paid him for. The Lions aren't a good team. The Vikings are going to win this game. The Bears and the Niners, Mitchell Trubisky versus Nick Mullins. This isn't a good game. The Bears are going to blow them away. The Bears have one of the best defenses in the league, and even though we keep telling ourselves this story about how the NFL is such an offensive league now, and it is more than it's ever been an offensive league. Look at the Rams. Look at the Chargers. I know. Look at the Chiefs. Look at the Texans. I get it. Look at the Saints, even though the Saints lately, they've struggled. But look at the teams that you really believe in the playoffs. I really believe in the Ravens. I don't know how far they can go with their ground and pound, but I like them. If you have a real defense, I like you a lot. I really trust the Bears. That Bears defense is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Right? The only team with a bad defense that I actually trust in the playoffs is the Chiefs. Because their offense is a paper shredder. And everyone around the league looks like sticky notes to them. Yeah, I trust the Chiefs and their no defense. Well, look at everybody else. Texans, defense. Bears, defense. Right? And the teams that have kind of let us down, the Rams, not as good defensively as we thought. Still 11-3, but not as good. Struggling. Chiefs, no defense. Struggling. I trust the teams that can score, and the Bears can score. But ever since they've added Khalil Mack, they've looked absolutely monstrous on the defensive end. The Rams and the Cardinals. That's the next game. Oh, I'm going Bears, obviously, by the way. Don't know if I mentioned that. Rams, Cardinals. I'm taking the Rams. This should be a fun game to watch, though. Josh Rosen is one of the young futures of the league, we hope. The Cardinals are so bad, it's hard to tell whether Josh Rosen is just having rookie moments or whether he legitimately has zero talent around him. I'm going with the latter. There's no talent on that team. It's rough. Steelers Saints. This is an interesting game. The Steelers are trying to remain in the playoff hunt. They ought to make the playoffs. I mean, the Steelers handle their business. They ought to make the playoffs. We keep burying the Steelers every year. We keep burying Mike Tomlin every year. People have been trying to put Mike Tomlin on the hot seat for years, and he refuses to get on it, and he refuses to take part in your petty games of team organization and having a functional locker room. Mike Tomlin coaches a zoo. His quarterback's a diva. His wide receiver, little unhinged. And everybody in fights. Just things that ought not to go public. You got players going to the media. I mean, it's a zoo. Mike Tomlin coaches a zoo. And yet here we are. Mike Tomlin might make the playoffs. And if they make the playoffs, how far can they go? They need James Conner back, though, because they can't run the ball now. Probably should have paid Le'Veon Bell. Probably should have gone with 2 running backs. Use James Conner to spell Le'Veon Bell a little bit. Didn't pay Le'Veon, didn't try to pay Le'Veon before the season started, and Le'Veon didn't make himself available once the season actually began. And here you are in a situation where you have no Le'Veon Bell and you have no James Conner, and now Ben's got to throw the ball 40, 45 times a game. And here's the thing. Ben Roethlisberger doesn't get sacked, but he takes hits, and those hits add up, and they're clearly getting to him. I'm taking the Saints in this game. The Saints are at home. They haven't looked good lately, but this is a bounce-back game for them. This is a very winnable game for the Saints where they can win, and they can win in style. And the Sunday night game is the Chiefs and the Seahawks. The Chiefs are going to beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks are playing very good football, though. They're physical. They're brutal. And then Russell Wilson gives them just that little bit of finesse. It's very nice. But the Chiefs are too good. The Chiefs are too good. And I don't trust the Seahawks to hang with them in a shootout. And then the Monday Night Football game is the Boo Boo Bowl game between the Broncos and the Raiders. The Broncos can still technically make the playoffs, but who actually cares? And the Raiders are 3-11, and John Gruden is their coach. That's unwatchable. I'm not watching that game. I absolutely refuse to watch that game. I like my eyes. I don't hate myself enough to sit down and say Broncos Raiders is a game that actually matters to anybody outside of those two cities. And even if you're a Raiders fan, your team's moving away. Honestly, should it even matter to you and your awful coach that's going to be there for 10 years? You're listening to All New Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com. Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you next week.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2.